Hello, everybody. Welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. Thanks for being with us today. Give me just a second so I can welcome folks onto the Spanish interpretation line. Hola, buenas tardes. Gracias por estar aquí. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar esta información en español a través de nuestra línea de interpretación. Y hay que marcar 646-749-3122. Y luego hay que introducir la contraseña, cual es 779-328-221. I also just want to remind folks that even if you can't be with us right now at 3 every day, these videos and interviews and information always show up on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. So you can always access it and watch them later on for the information that we have available for all you on these forums. And then I also just want to say hello to everyone that's watching, and I would love to get a hello from you back. So if you are on here, hearing me talk right now, give me a like, give me a heart, give me a hello in the comments. Let me know how you're doing today. I just love to know that there's folks out there listening with me. And with that, I'm going to go right into the presentation that I have for you all today. It's a webinar from the Census Bureau talking about different apportionment data and just population data throughout different states in the U.S. and explaining a little bit about how that process works, just so that we can understand it a little better as we wait for more data from the Census Bureau to come out. So I will play that for you all. If you have any questions throughout, go ahead and throw them in the comment section. And the websites that are mentioned in the webinar will also appear in the comment section for you. And then we'll have a COVID update from Marlene and some information about an important meeting that's happening tonight, a virtual public meeting regarding federal money that is getting invested into Milwaukee. And the virtual meeting will be a space for us to help prioritize what happens with that money. So stay tuned for that after this webinar, and I will give you the registration link for that, and we'll hear a COVID update from Marlene.
The Constitution requires that we take a census every 10 years to count every person living in the United States. Why is the census so important? One reason is apportionment, the process of calculating how many seats each state gets in the U.S. House of Representatives. But how does apportionment work? Since 1940, a formula known as the method of equal proportions has been used to determine how many seats in the House of Representatives each of the 50 states receives. The U.S. House of Representatives has 435 seats, and each state must get at least one seat. So after the first 50 seats are distributed, the formula is used to distribute the other 385 seats. The formula is used to calculate values that are based on each state's total population and the number of potential seats each state could receive. Then those values are ranked to determine how many additional seats each state will get. This process ensures that each congressional district, from Alaska to Florida, in California to Maine, has roughly the same number of people to represent. Since the first census in 1790, the decennial count has been the basis for our representative form of government. Back then, each House member represented about 34,000 people. Today, each member represents more than 700,000 people. Every census is a new snapshot of our nation, and every person must be represented. And as our country continues to grow in size and diversity, the apportionment process ensures equal representation for all, no matter who you are or where you live. The census is more than just a population count. It's an essential element of our nation's democracy, with the power to shape our future for years.
The 2020 census took a snapshot of all people living in the United States on April 1st, 2020, and the results are in. According to the 2020 census, the number of people living in the United States was 331,449,281. This represents an increase of 7.4% over the official population count from the 2010 census. This population growth rate is lower than the previous growth rate of 9.7% between the 2000 and 2010 censuses. In fact, the growth rate from 2010 to 2020 is the second slowest in U.S. history. The country's 7.4% increase in population this decade was only slightly more than the 7.3% increase between 1930 and 1940. For the regions, the South grew the fastest over the last decade, with a 10.2% increase in population, followed by the West with 9.2%, the Northeast with 4.1%, and the Midwest with 3.1%. The Northeast grew faster this decade than it grew between 2000 and 2010, while the other three regions grew slower this decade than the last. When looking across the states, we see large variation in population sizes. The state with the largest 2020 census resident population was California, with 39,538,223. The state with the smallest population was Wyoming, with 576,851. However, the 10 most populous states each had a resident population between 10 and 40 million, while the 10 least populous states each had a resident population between 500,000 and 1.4 million. The population of most states grew between 2010 and 2020. Utah was the fastest growing state, with an 18.4% increase in population, growing to 3.3 million in 2020. On the other hand, 3 states lost population, with West Virginia having the largest rate of decrease at 3.2%. The population of District Columbia grew by 14.6%. Puerto Rico's population decreased by 11.8% to 3.3 million. Now let's get to the apportionment results from the 2020 census. The constitutional purpose of the census is congressional apportionment, which is the process of distributing the memberships or seats in the U.S. House of Representatives amongst the states every 10 years in a way that is proportional to each state's population. Since 1941, the law has specified that the method of equal proportions will be used to assign House seats to the states. And while the law does not require the Census Bureau to calculate the number of seats each state will get, we do it as a courtesy to the President. We apply the required method to the apportionment population of the 50 states, not including the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, because they have no voting seats in the Congress. The 2020 census apportionment population includes the number of people living in the 50 states plus the overseas population, which is a count of federal employees living overseas and their dependents living with them who are allocated to a home state. Since 1940, the regional trend with apportionment has been an increase in the number of congressional seats for the South and West, and a loss of congressional seats for the Northeast and Midwest. More specifically, since 1940, there's been a combined net shift of 84 seats to the South and West regions. Overall, the effect of the official 2020 census population counts on congressional apportionment is a shift of 7 seats among 13 states, which is the smallest number of seats shifting among the states in any decade since the current method of calculating apportionment was adopted in 1941. 6 states will gain seats in the House of Representatives. Texas will gain 2 seats, and Colorado, Florida, Montana, North Carolina, and Oregon will each gain 1 seat. 7 states will each lose 1 seat in the House: California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. The number of seats for the remaining 37 states will not change. The states that will have the most representatives in Congress are California with 52 seats, Texas with 38 seats, Florida with 28 seats, and New York with 26 seats. the Northwest, a third of the total in the House of Representatives. Each based on 1,169 people per representative when compared to the average of 710,767 people per representative based on the 2010.
I want to follow a little bit on Mike's question. We saw, Rhode Island didn't lose a seat like was widely expected. Florida and Texas kind of gained less. Again, I kind of want to reiterate. Do we have any estimations for why the earlier population estimates were you need over or undershooting? And what is the Bureau's level of confidence in this count, given everything that's happened over the last year, given the pandemic, given all the changes to the schedule? What's the level of confidence in these results?
Thanks for that line of questioning. I'll pass that back to our demographic experts to talk about the quality of our data, but then specifically your questions that asked about the apportionment results. Tori?
Thanks for that question. We are very confident in the data that we released today. We measure the quality of the census in many different ways, and one of the ways that we measure the quality of the census is to compare to our population estimates. Of course, our population estimates are based on the last census and built forward, adding births, subtracting deaths, adding in migration. So most states are within 1% of our population estimates, which makes us feel very good about those census counts.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can, loud and clear.
Hi there, this is Jamie Weiss with 4029 News. I'm not sure if you can answer the specifics. I'm calling about Arkansas and Oklahoma, states in the South where they're next to big states like Texas that have seen an increase in population. I'm curious if you've seen any data about growth in those states, but why maybe they haven't received congressional seats and why they haven't lost any congressional seats either.
Thanks for that line of questioning. And again, I'll pass this over to our demographic experts.
In terms of why a state has not gained or lost a seat, it all depends on the population distribution for any given decennial census. So,
Shia Katos with Politico, your line is open.
Hi, it's Shia Kappas with the Illinois Playbook in Politico. Can you talk a little bit about the in-migration, out-migration of Illinois, and how close was it from losing a second seat? And is there a chance that block-by-block information will be released a little bit earlier than September?
Thanks for that line of questioning. And we'll take this right back to our demographic experts for a little explanation, albeit be mindful of the fact that the set of data that we've released today is only down to the state level as far as the geography is considered, but there will be more to come and more details to follow as we continue to disseminate the results of the 2020 census. Demo?
So I'll start. So Illinois was actually one of the 3 states that actually lost population over the last decade. And we know from our population estimates program that the state of Illinois actually had negative net domestic migration. Again, there were more people moving out of that state than moving into that state. And I think I'll turn it over to Kristen to talk more about the next part of your question.
As far as how close they were to losing another seat, I don't have that in front of me because that would require me to look up in the rankings, above 435 to see how close they were to seat 435. But when I look at the states that were the 10 states that were directly below seat 435, Illinois is not among them. So Illinois was not close to getting or to not losing another seat, if that makes sense.
Thanks for that, Kristen.
So I hope that information was helpful for you to understand a little bit more about apportionment and about how the process works and how it affects us, each state at the national level in terms of how many representatives we have for each state in the House of Representatives. And that information can be accessed at census.gov. That's in the comment section for everybody. So you can definitely learn more, even more, going to that website. And I think now we're going to have a COVID update from Marlene. If she's ready, yes, I see her. So I'll bring her on, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the virtual meeting after her update. Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So according to the CDC and the Department of Health Services, individuals can now, those that are 12 to 15 years of age, can now go get vaccinated. You can go find the closest vaccine to your house and zip code by going to vaccine.org, and I will be putting that in the comments section. If you do go to one of the facilities, you do need to bring a form of ID proving that you are the guardian of the child that is 12 to 15 years old that you would bring. That's pretty much it. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene, for that update. And I now just want to share with you all about the meeting that's tonight. So in the comment section, you'll see the registration link for it. And again, this is based on money that Milwaukee is receiving under the American Rescue Plan Act. So ARPA, you can see it as an acronym, or sometimes it's just ARP, American Rescue Plan. But there will be a meeting tonight that is like a public town hall to see how people think that Milwaukee should invest this money. It's quite a bit of money, over $400 million, that we have the opportunity to invest and use to help rebuild and, just invest in the future of Milwaukee. So again, that's in the comment section, and I just want to show you all what it looks like. It's pretty simple. So as you can see here, if you click the link that shows up in the comment section, it just takes you to this. The meeting is being held through the MKE Virtual Collaborative Urban Investment Town Hall meeting. So they're the host, but it's also being co-hosted by the Common Council. So you just have to click on that. It tells you when it is. And then you just have to put your first name, last name, and your email address. And the Zoom link, or in this case, it's a GoToWebinar. It's just another platform, will be emailed to you. So we encourage everyone to show up to this tonight. It's a lot of money, and there's a big opportunity for Milwaukee, and especially thinking about the SOC district. So we should definitely show up. There's also going to be, in the near future, I don't think it's come out just yet, but they were saying last week that they're still working on it, is a survey, a public survey that will also be distributed to help get public feedback about what should be done with this money. So there's going to be multiple opportunities for you to share your opinions on what should happen with these millions of dollars coming into Milwaukee. We want to make sure that it's going back to the communities that need it the most and who need the most investment. And so please show up to this meeting tonight and stay tuned for that survey that will get distributed in the near future, asking for public opinion as well. So we will do our best to keep you up to date on all of that. Other than that, I'm just going to share with you all who is showing what guests we have for the rest of the week for you. Tomorrow, we're going to have someone from Youth Empowered in the Struggle, the youth branch of Voces de la Frontera, just talking about their program and what they have available for youth. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have Primitivo Torres, also from Voces de la Frontera, a community organizer, coming on to talk about their calls to action coming in May. And then we have on Thursday, Jonathan Sanson he's the clinic manager at the 16th Street Clinic, who will be coming on. And then on Friday, we're gonna have Colleen from the Basilica Foundation to talk about different revitalization efforts and happening in or near the Basilica. So you'll definitely wanna join these forums we have for you the rest of the week. We've got some great guests coming up. And of course, we also want you always to fill out our survey that is linked in the comment section. So if you haven't filled that out in a while, remember that you don't have to do it just once. You can do it multiple times, and we really appreciate that feedback to hear what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear. If there's anything new or different that you're thinking we should talk about, please let us know in that survey. So I'll leave you with that promo, and we will be back with you tomorrow.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take our quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.